We're going to run with that joke again. D, did you bring your paintbrushes with you, son?
I didn't, Dos, but I'm feeling very inspired, as I just said 5 minutes ago before Dos stuffed up the intro.
Danielle Weber.
Have another go at it.
Danielle Weber, welcome to the dos&d show.
Welcome to the studio, and
Well,
thank you for having me.
Now, let's put her on the spot. Who is who?
Yeah.
dos&d.
There we go.
How many times did it take me? You've been here half
an hour.
That's not too bad.
Well,
Okay.
thank you for having us in your beautiful studio.
Thank you
Talk
for
to us.
being
So
here.
it's been nearly 3 years you've had this place.
Yeah.
Prior to this, where were we painting out of?
Oh, there's been like an abundance of different locations. It started on my bunk bed. That was like I used to sketch on the bunk bed. And then it was in the middle of my kitchen, in my parents' kitchen. And then it was like the back room with things scattered under the bed, in the closet, all of the things. And then it was grandparents, garage, another back room, the bungalow at my grandparents' house. And then I had a studio for a while, but it was like too dusty and too many people around. I was like, can't do that. And so this was the 10-year mark that I got this. So
Wow.
Yeah.
And from what you were telling us, you're getting people banging on the door and wanting to come and speak to you. Like it's you can't even put your own branding outside because you've got such a great fan base.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you have a creative space, people get excited. Well, we don't realize like it's so different. So like when people walk in, they're like, whoa, and they just want to like hang around. But I think for me, it's such a sacred space where I need to feel like safe and like that no one really knows where it is, and I don't have random people coming and being like, hi, I just want to hang out. And also because people don't really see it as a job as such. So there's no boundaries there. So I think that's why I've like kept it nice and private.
Even on that, I was like,
Yeah.
obviously doing the Instagram stalking, so I gave you a good
Yeah.
stalk. And one of the videos, I was saying to Dee today, people still don't believe you get paid doing what you do, and
No.
that you're in the back of the Uber and you're talking to the Uber driver, and
Yeah.
he's laughing because he can't believe you get paid to
Yeah.
draw murals on walls. Like
Yeah.
people just don't think it's your job.
No. I think, yeah, like as I said before, like I'm a bit immune to it now. But as I sort of like get older, I'm like, I would never ask, because people come up to me on a mural and they're like, how much do you get paid? So if they do think I get paid, like they're just so, and I'm like, well, how much do you get paid now? Like, how much do you get paid? And they're like, oh, and I'm like, well, that's not a question that you like roll up and ask. On the contrary, people are just so baffled that I can actually make a living out of it. So yeah, that's a regular conversation. It's honestly, and if I'm working on the street, it's daily and a couple of times a day. And it's just like, oh, like you're so clever. Do you like? Is this like?
Wow.
What do you do for a real job, or like what's your actual job? And I'm like, I just took a week off work to come and hang out here and paint their wall. But yeah, no worries. Like
Yeah.
it's all, yeah. So
Yeah, once I finish this, I'm heading down for my 4-hour shift at Coles.
yeah. Well, in saying that, I did balance other jobs, but I think the fact that people are just baffled that I do get paid, even if it was, alongside another job to I guess, when you start, you have to. Yeah, it's crazy.
When did it then for you, in your own mind, be able to say, now I'm a full-time artist, this is what I do? Like how many years ago, what age roughly was it when, you now consider yourself full-time in what you do?
Yeah, so it's been my sole income for 8 years now.
Wow.
I still struggle to say I'm an artist. I'm just like, I just like paint shit. I just paint things because of the reaction. Sometimes I can't be bothered with it, or it's just like, people get offended by my humor around it because I just try to laugh it off, and then it just gets awkward. So, yeah. I'd probably be easier to it'd be easier for me to say like I just paint houses, like a house painter, and leave it at that. But yeah, it's getting a little bit easier to say.
Do you think that's because what you paint it just changes so often?
As well, yeah. So it's kind of hard to explain, and there's a lot of moving parts of the business. It's like it's not just murals anymore. There's canvases, murals, merch, building community and things like that. So there's a lot of moving parts, and yeah.
I was kind of telling you off air, I actually come from a family of artists, but I've just, upon reflection, they've been painting and they've done it for 60, 70 years, some of them, and they have made a bit of money from it, but they've never been full-time in what they do.
Yeah.
I know this would be a total guess, but in your industry, how many people actually would be full-time?
I actually,
as a percentage?
Yeah, I think I don't know the exact stats, but I was Googling it the other day, and we're talking like hardly anyone.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. And the percentage of like artists that actually make a living out of it or a good living is really low, and it's less in amongst females as well. So
Okay.
maybe I'll give the stats to you so we can pop them up on the if people want to have a look, but it's mind-boggling.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is a big part of that, do you think, and now touching on your point, your family being artists for a long time, do you think a big part of it is because of social media now? Because the ability to sell, to promote, to build an audience?
Definitely. I 100% wouldn't have been able to make a living out of it if it wasn't for social media. Yeah, hands down.
And have you found a niche that you feel that was relatively untapped?
I feel like instead of going down the route of like route, whatever.
Yeah.
Someone's
I got
going
what
to
you
come
meant.
at me here. I feel like instead of me saying I'm going to develop my style and people have to buy what I want to paint, I was like, okay, let's compromise, let's work, let's work off hype and things that people can relate to, and that's sort of how I built that niche in a sense. Niche or compromise, I think it's a bit of both. I think a lot of artists will be like, oh, we have to sell our soul to do commercial work, and I agree that I do often, but I think as you develop more, you can say no to more work, but there will be elements where you have to compromise. So I think that's what I've done maybe better than a lot of artists who are like, no, I don't want to, paint commercial work. I only want to paint what I want to paint and try and sell that. But I'm like, you know what, I still get to do what I love. So there's got to be a bit of compromise in everything in life, doesn't there?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
When you talk about murals though, maybe explain a bit more in detail for the listener. What does that entail? like it's obviously a big job. You mentioned a week, at a certain spot. What is painting a mural?
Yeah, so a mural is a large scale, I guess, art installation on a wall sometimes it has a short lifespan, but for the most part can be up on a wall for many years. And basically it could be, there's no limitations. Any surface, I'd say for the most part, I paint a lot of gyms and private homes. And they can be from portraits to landscapes. And you're basically just completely transforming the environment of that place with an artwork on the wall.
Yeah, wow.
And does that come from your vision, or is it the vision of the person, or is it a bit of both?
There's a bit of both, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I have a happy medium of like people coming and being like, I trust you, this is kind of what I want, but run with the design process. So I'm very fortunate I get a bit of freedom now. But
Yeah,
I mean,
cool.
I wouldn't have trusted me back in the day either, so probably still wouldn't now. But yeah, it's sometimes artists go a bit rogue. So it's
It does change the environment though, because I was a member of a gym. It was called Nitro Gym down in Carrum Downs, and a guy came in, and I remember being in there while he was doing it, and he was on a scissor lift and doing that. But it totally changed the environment of the gym. What other you said gyms? What other industries have you painted these big murals for?
Yeah, so I mean, I've done a Jordan and Nike collaboration, so that was like in store. So and then that can be extended to activations. Like I did, workshopping with painting basketballs.
Wow.
I painted the fitting room. Like I did digital designs that were printed out and put in the fitting rooms, and also the designs were extended to T-shirts as well. So they were like printed in store on Jordan tees as well. So no limitations in terms of like murals and where they can extend to and be repurposed to. And like cafes, restaurants. What's the strangest mural I've done? There's like music venues, like heaps of different.
With the cafe, right? What would be an example? Like, sometimes it's quotes, or is it people? Or
sometimes it's quotes, sometimes it's people. Like sometimes it's for example, pizza shop. I did Gordon Ramsay, like eating a pizza. So
That's so cool.
That was cool. I saw that. Yeah,
I've done like a alcohol store where I did like the Step Brothers on the side because it's like Catalina
awesome.
Wit wine mixer.
Yeah. Have you seen that movie, D?
No.
Oh my god!
I know.
You have to
I'm
see
bad
it.
with movies. It's not my strong suit.
No, I am too, but that's
Yeah.
one that you
Okay.
gotta, yeah. And then also on that wall was like Mr. Bean, Marilyn Monroe, Mona Lisa. We put Freddie Mercury on there. It was just like a random, That's so
sick.
there's no limitations. I'm pretty happy to have a crack at it.
Love it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to dive in a little bit later into the nitty gritty and how the whole creative process and everything you've done. But I just want to take one step back. So going back to when you might have been 10, 12, 14, 16 years old, what did you think your life trajectory was looking like? And did you get pushback from family when you started to persist with art?
No. So I think that is definitely the reason why I'm here because I didn't think I would be an artist. That was not something that, I was like, oh, my dream is to, because I just thought it wasn't reachable as such. And that was not because of, what my family had or hadn't said, but more so you just assume that, you don't have anyone to look up to and be like, oh, they've done it. I want to do that. So fortunately, I was very sporty. So I played rugby, tennis, like I was everything under the sun. So art wasn't really... I guess it was in the picture, but not as much. So like sport was my priority.
So that sport was more your passion,
yes.
and you were just really good at art.
Well, I didn't even know that.
Oh, really?
Like I just sort of thought that.
There's hope for us, Dos.
I want to see your paintings. If you say you come from a family of artists,
you don't want to see it.
We've
Danielle.
just got to tap into that. We've just got to. Do you like how I said that? Tap into that.
Yeah, tap into it.
I'm just going to put that finger down.
Love it.
We've just got to tap into that. That's yeah. So no, fortunately, I didn't really. I thought everyone could paint and I just enjoyed it more than other people, but it wasn't really a big deal to me. I was like, oh, whatever, like I can paint, here and there. But when I finished school, my mum was like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, health science. And she's just like, where's your art? And I'm like, no, I want to be a health scientist. And she's like, humour me and pushed me to actually study it. Hated studying it, but it kept me painting.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
But interestingly enough, if it wasn't for them, no way, I wouldn't have entertained it.
Wow. That's not the answer we tend to get when we ask that question.
Yeah.
It tends to be the opposite.
Yeah, I think I was a bit like lost, definitely. Like I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like, oh, I could be a nurse. Now when I see blood, I'm like, oh, fuck that. Like, no way. Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, and that's why I say to like kids who speak to me like, I don't know what I want to do. I'm like, who cares? Whatever.
Yeah.
Just do what you enjoy, and then maybe that might, turn into a passion and then something that you love. So that's another whole ball game, turning your passion into something, like into a job.
100%.
Yeah.
And we've slowly, we've learnt that over the last 3 years, but we're only been doing this 3 years and only started getting paid the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Whereas after a year, I think a lot of people would go, oh, this can't turn
What's
into
the point?
anything.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to share what you were sharing with us earlier about your artist skills and the competition and.
So I'll keep it very brief, Danielle. But what happened was I was no good at art as a kid. I couldn't paint for whatever reason. My sister, very good.
When you say no good, did it just frustrate you?
Yeah, I just couldn't, like my sisters and I, we'd go away on holidays and the artists would all be there and they'd have their, similar, not to your degree of how...
Hey,
do you
think I was never painting like this as a kid. They were ratchet. Like this is like...
But I meant
if you're painting them as a kid, you'd be a billionaire, I reckon, Danielle.
My family... They tend to be more sort of abstract kind of style. And my sisters and I would have a crack. Well, my sisters got it. I didn't get it. I couldn't. They'd say, just try draw basic shapes. I just couldn't wrap my head around it. Anyway, cut a long story short, it comes to year 9, you have to pick your electives, or year 10 might have been, you pick your electives at school. I put it as a joke. So it was between 1 to 5. You're supposed to put the top 3 preferences out of 5 subjects. So I put the number 5, right?
For art, number 5.
They didn't even ask you to put 5 numbers down, but I put 5 as in I don't put me in art. This is how bad, to give you an example of how bad my handwriting is, they must have misread it as a 2, as a preference.
Oh, no.
So I've been pushed into art.
Hey, mind you, I chose art and we were in the same class together.
Well, he left.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
So okay.
It would have been smart because actually, in hindsight, I was like one of like 3 guys and there was like 20 girls in the class. So
why do you reckon I tipped art?
Looking back, I'm like, maybe it wasn't the worst decision. But cutting a long story short, our project, and you will remember this, is we had to sit down we went to a local nursing home and sit down we got assigned one person and you actually had to learn about their life story and try and do it.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
But the whole point is, the whole point of the project was when you're playing with their skin tone, you have to make it look natural. So if they got wrinkles, don't put a black line to... you got to change. I don't even know. This shows how.
No, you have to tone it back a bit so it's not.
You're making sense.
It makes sense.
And then anyway, it looked like this alien that I'd drawn by the end of it. So you know what I did is I got these big black textures and I just put wrinkles, and it kind of humanized the guy.
Yeah.
But then when it came to actually the award ceremony, they had them all up, and mine was the only one that looked human. But I totally ignored the point of the project. So my teacher went off of me. She was not happy. She's like, but the people awarding it, they didn't realize what the rules were. So I got first place.
You won.
And what did I win?
That's
I won.
Genius.
That's
some Pablo Picasso shit right there.
It was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't intentional, I can tell you that.
But you won a nice little art kit.
Yeah, that got donated to my sister.
Great.
And she loved it. But Speaking
That's
of,
resourceful. I rate that.
Exactly.
I want to turn
This
attention
is
away
where
from
schools go wrong. You just got to let people be free and see what happens.
Yeah.
There you
don't
go.
listen.
Maybe
It's-
someone looking right now will be. Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with going in art class.
No,
Danielle?
no.
There's nothing wrong
no.
with going rogue.
No.
No. Well, I was going to ask you, Danielle. Is there one thing you can't draw? Is there something that frustrates
I
you?
can't draw.
Oh, paint.
Okay.
Where's your sticking point? Where's that one thing that when you get frustrated with and for whatever reason you just can't get it? Is there anything?
Hands were a big problem.
Look
Okay.
at those very nice hands.
So I made myself paint like I did so there's 11 portraits. So I did like 20 hands, like 2 hands in my last collection, and I purposely made myself paint that many to just get more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So now I approach them, I'm not as scared. And like that one was easy for me, whereas usually I'm like, and I'll leave it till last, and then I couldn't do it. And
So what do you think it is about it? I'm interested to know.
Yeah,
what,
that's so-
like sausages, like
Yeah.
look at them, like they're just.
So when you're painting, and what was the part you couldn't get right? Do you
Well,
think?
because the lines, like if you do a
Ah.
line, like you can't paint it how you see it because
Gotcha.
it just looks too much. Like it just
Yeah.
looks like you've got like all these like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of like interpretation. I'm like, you can't paint how you see often, like or with everything, because it becomes just I don't know. I'm not a very good arts explainer.
Flip of the coin. What are you really good at? What's your sweets? What do you enjoy? What's easy? What can you do in your sleep?
Eyes are easy.
Eyes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow. I'm
Yeah.
just looking around at all
I
the
haven't
eyes
painted
now.
her eyes yet, so I'm like, that's probably. She's like, hello.
We are surrounded by some very beautiful women on the painting.
So why eyes? So maybe explain the detail around that.
I think I said I couldn't draw before. I'm really bad at sketching. Like a lot of people can just like sketch for hours and like make it look decent, whereas I'm just like, oh, that's really bad. And I don't see, like, you know how you're struggling to like see dimension and stuff?
Yeah.
I don't see that in a sketch where I see it in painting. But I used to, when I did sketch, that's all I sketched was eyes. Like all of my folios is just thousands of eyes. So
Yeah.
I think that's why maybe.
Our nan, also Camille, my sister, she's behind the camera today, but our nan, she does, drawings and stuff. And I used to love drawing as a kid, but as I've grown older, even my girlfriend, she loves to paint, loves to draw. I find it really frustrating now.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm a perfectionist. So if I stuff up a little bit, I hate the fact that I'm stuffing up. So I stop.
Yeah.
So I know it's your career now.
Yeah.
But do you paint at all for therapy, for the therapeutic aspects
Yes.
and creative aspect, or just your job?
I think there was a long period where I didn't. And then these girls that you see now, that is that side of things where I'm like, I need to tap back into that flow state and just painting what I want to paint without overthinking things and without it having a reason. I'm painting that for that purpose, and there's like an end goal. So just painting things for like no end goal, that I feel like there's no limitations there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Was there a big change then in terms of pressure to now put out more when it did become suddenly your full-time income?
Yes.
The pressure to keep producing?
Yeah, because if I don't paint, if you don't have other streams of income, there's a lot of pressure to, produce things that people actually want to buy that are, that you can sell, and then in turn, so that's what I'm always balancing, is just like, where's that happy medium between, doing things I have to keep the cash flow in, and then also giving myself the freedom to, paint what I, I say gifting myself that time now, because it is a gift, I think, to be getting to a stage where I can have a little bit of time to do what I want to do.
Yeah. So what does your schedule tend to look like a week by week basis?
So if I'm on murals, I try not to bank them up anymore. I used to go from mural to mural, and it was just a lot. But now I try to do like maybe 2 murals a month, and then like 2 weeks in the studio, or depending if the mural's a little bit longer, it might be a little bit of less time. So murals can be really long days, like anywhere up to 8 to 16 hour days, depending on if it's far. Like I'll do longer days, and if I'm in the studio, then I'll be in here for 10, 12 hours a day as well. So,
wow.
And for the murals, do you have an assistant with you?
So my dad works with me.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And
That's
he
awesome.
helps me on murals. And then Alessandra, depending on the size of the job, she often comes out and helps on murals as well.
Great.
It just makes the process a lot more enjoyable, because we've got like logistically, like everything's really well set up now, and the process is really smooth. So it's not, you're not like running to Bunnings to get paint and running here to do that. It's just like really enjoyable.
Yeah, pass up the big brush. Throw it up.
Clean these brushes, please. Move that chair. Oh, I forgot that. It's only a meter away. Can you pass that to me? Like,
Oh, that's funny.
It's really nice. Yeah.
Like when we walked in, we're seeing these prints that are yet to be released.
Yeah.
So, and what, there's 250?
Well, by the time this comes out, but they might not be any available.
No.
We're going to say that hopefully for the audience there are a few available. So if there are, then jump on them.
Well, good luck to you.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you.
But I was going to ask.
I meant to them because I don't think
not to you, not to you.
No, you don't need the good luck.
You don't need
You
to worry.
said dates, so I was like, okay.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
But in terms of, so how does it all work in terms of how often are you producing these? So there's going to be 250 prints. Is that right? That's correct.
Yeah, 200.
Oh, 200. So there's going to be 200. How often is it? Once a month you do this, once a week? And how do you decide who you're painting, what you're painting?
Yeah, that's a great question. Think of like artists' messy brains. Like basically my ideas are dumped out like that, and they just continue to evolve. And like we've got like notes everywhere. And I wrote down that I wanted to do like a cigar, like, OG kind of series ages ago. And then so many people have asked me to paint this reference. And when I get asked multiple times, I just don't want to single one person out and be like, I'll paint it for you. So I was like, you know what? There'll be a right time.
Yep.
And so I think the team, like we've been sort of working around structure and how do we get, a bit more structure in the business and basing things off drops, which means that things are limited, which is sort of in line with like what my capacity is as well. I can't mass produce, so why wouldn't I do limited edition drops? So, I'm trying this structure and I'm going to try and drop something limited once a month, which gives me a goal to work towards and then also helps me roll out these ideas that have just been banking up for years and I haven't, because I've banked myself up with murals, I haven't given myself the time to do that. And then I know
people bid for these one-of-ones.
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, I haven't figured out like a fair way to do it, but I think publicly I've never been about speaking about dollar signs. Like I think if you're like an artist, you don't choose to like make a lot of money if you're like, I'm going to be an artist. It's not really something that's driven by money initially. So I don't feel comfortable with being like, this is how much I want for this piece. So I just tend to privately have these discussions with people because I don't like.
Okay.
Yeah. But when people message me, I'm like, hey, the highest bid's at $6,500.
Yep.
If you want to put in a bid, if not, alternatively here. Like I don't put pressure on people. I'm like, if you want to buy something, go for it. Like art's not essential. If you want it, like amazing. But For
those listening to it, not watching it, maybe tell us about this big, beautiful piece.
Yeah. So iconic championship moment of Michael Jordan. And I think I love Jordan's story. I love his determination. Every single quote I love. I resonate with his journey. I think he's fiercely relentless, and I think you need to be that as a sportsman, as an artist. Anyone who has a craft, I think, thinks that you've been gifted with that and you're good with that, but like you're good to go, good to make a living.
Yeah.
But as Jordan always says, you can be gifted that talent, but if you are not working relentlessly and dedicated to your craft, like good luck to you. Basically. So I think this is a really special piece for me. Obviously, Young Bull. It's called Young Bull, and I'm dropping it in the year 2023. And obviously, the number 23 is iconic, so it kind of makes sense.
Clever.
Yeah.
So for those listening, this gives you a great reason to go to YouTube and click subscribe while you're there. But tell us, so from start to now, how like the steps to actually get to this position, from just concept to finish, time frame.
Just tangled myself over here, sorry.
There's a lot of chords and shit everywhere.
No, it's good. So I think I wrote down the series idea probably about 3 years ago, or 4 years ago. I'd say 2019, when I was getting inspiration for a piece that I did for Arnold Schwarzenegger. And it was an icon, and I contacted the photographer and I had a chat to him about it. And I was like, okay, eventually, like, pause this thought. I want to do a series based on this. Just because it's like creating like timeless work with color. So it's like new, but then like you're just like time stamping a priceless memory as well. So there was like lots of things going on in my head. Hopefully that makes sense. So 4 years ago, I was like, okay, I want to do something like that. And then obviously the team were like, we need to do a limited drop. What is something that everyone's asking for? And Jordan's like,
wow.
iconic. I haven't painted as many as what you think. I've painted 15 Jordan pieces and murals all together, but I've had people guessing and they thought it was like 35, 40. So,
wow. Yeah. That's what I would have thought too.
Yeah. So, and then I actually usually digitally like mock up things, but with this one, I just went for it. Didn't really plan too much about the color, and just sort of had like.
It's mesmerizing, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Honestly,
yeah.
It's incredible.
I'm trying to train myself to not overthink things. There's a happy medium between like planning and then like I think there's like planning for like smooth execution on murals, and then there's like not planning too much in the studio, so you're still creating your best work. That's not like over prepared.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like just at Guernsey itself.
I know. Yeah, that's the detail. The like the dots, even to that extent, like on the jersey.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not even trying to work out how did you get them so perfect.
There's so many mistakes there that you probably
Really?
were like, yeah, because I and then like in the end I ended up like going cross-eyed. I'm like, there's so many dots here. I'm like, you know what? If I can't see it, no one else is going to see it, so it's okay.
That's so true.
If you make a big mistake, is it like, I don't even know how to use the analogies. Let's say you put 24 instead of 23 or something.
Yeah.
or give her some credit, Daniel.
Or you write bills. But like, how far can a piece go where it goes beyond repair? Can you like fix?
You can build up on it, yeah.
Okay.
Unless I stab it with my paintbrush, and we're pretty good to like, yeah. So I don't go that frustration stage that we talk about. I don't have that anymore.
Yeah, cool.
I'm pretty chill. Like if something happens, I'm like, cool, happened for a reason. And if I say when I go on a mural and I'm like, okay, I'm not settled, then I'll need to do something. So I say I'm not settled, but not frustrated at the piece, just not like settled within myself. So it's not so much the piece frustrating me. Yeah. So, but yeah, you can fix it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've now yourself have become somewhat of definitely a leader in this industry, especially for up and coming artists, I'm sure. Yeah. We mentioned earlier, and I'd love you to touch on the community that you're starting to build and the impact you're having through your own knowledge and expertise and experience to help younger artists.
Yeah, definitely.
Could you touch on that? And maybe that's obviously it's a big passion of yours.
Yeah, huge. I think for a lot of, the world's changing. It's ever growing and changing, isn't it? Like with the technology, like look at you guys, it's amazing how many people you can reach. You said you're in London. And I think what I didn't realize is like how technology would evolve and connect other artists together. So when I first started out, it was like, oh, it's going to be a lonely journey. Like this is how it's going to be. And I didn't have anyone to look up to or reach out and say, hey, how did you do this? So I look back at my last 12 years and I think there are so many lessons, I don't say mistakes anymore, lessons and things that I'm still walking blind. Like I still feel like I have no idea. Sorry, I probably shouldn't say that, but I'm still, I'm still walking with like, something over my eyes. I have no idea what I'm doing most of the time. And, I wasn't alone, but I felt really lonely in my journey in a sense that I had a lot of support and I still felt like that. So my goal and my vision is to make sure other creatives don't feel like that moving forward. And if they can maybe, if I can give them a few tips or a bit of support that might help them, I still believe they have to put in the hard work, but if they can maybe get to where, they want to be 2 or 3 years quicker rather than, taking 12 years and they're creating their best work 5 years sooner.
Yeah.
I know, it's never going to be your best work. There's always going to be better, but you know what I'm saying. Yep. Yeah, I think that's where
streamlining it for them.
Yeah. There's no blueprint. Like there's definitely not because things are evolving and like that benchmark and that goalpost is always changing for all of us. And I feel like for that reason, everyone's like, oh, how do we keep up? Like everything's moving and changing, but use it as an advantage and as a strength. That's what I'm trying to show artists that you can do. Yeah.
Speaking of moving and changing, NFTs. I'm really interested to
hear.
Mate,
you literally just stole my next question. I thought,
I've been holding it for a few questions now.
I thought I was...
You thought you were going to...
I thought, oh, wow, look at this. I've thought of an absolute ripper, and then you've stolen it.
Sorry, Dossie.
I was going to say AI and NFTs.
Yeah. Well... Because I was going to say, like, I'm thinking back to, like, the COVID era, and I think, crypto, the rise of crypto and NFTs and this whole world that seemed to really explode around that time. With the rise of, like, even digital art going back probably, years prior to now.
Yeah.
How does that affect you? What are your thoughts on it? Do you get involved? Is it competition? Is it something you like? Is it something you dislike? What are your honest thoughts on like, NFTs?
Yeah, love NFTs, love AI, love anything technology. I was really... I was like slow to adopt Facebook, slow to adopt social media, and slow to like adopt digital art as well. But I knew ultimately if I didn't, I'd fall behind. So I think, fortunately, I was into crypto when NFTs came about, and I've actually dropped 3 collections, NFT collections. So
it's like another income stream for you.
yes, and it was also another, well, if I don't try it, how am I going to help other artists sort of diversify and not, because that's the biggest thing is I'm like, don't put all of your eggs in one basket. It's sort of, I know it's hard and it's a lot to manage, but we can do much more than just painting on canvas. You know what I mean? So, so that, then obviously AI as well. With anything new, there's a lot of crap that needs to be, I guess, hashed out, and there's issues like anything in business.
Yeah.
So, like it's, and everyone's going to sort of always talk about the negative when it's something new and try to shoot it down. But I think with AI, there's like there's artist work that has been stolen, and I think that's not okay. Yeah. But for the most part, I think if we can use it to our advantage, it's really, really helpful. And a lot of these images references, I've used AI
there you
to
go.
get.
Yeah, okay.
Well, for example, no joke, this morning, I found this, I think I found it on TikTok. I'm TikTok obsessed.
You've never seen a more obsessed man.
And there's this template. You take a photo of yourself. Basically, it turns your photo, so I'm wearing this, selfie, turns your photo into a LinkedIn photo. So all of a sudden, it goes, and you're now like dressed in whatever else, and it's you. You wouldn't even,
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, I was thinking of getting my dog Disneyized, I think it's called.
Go.
You get a picture and it turns into a Disney character.
Yeah, nice. Little mascot. That's so good.
Yeah. But so you don't see it as, because obviously we sit here and we look at this and we know there's one of one, and that's incredible. And a lot of people, when it comes to NFTs, you can't understand the concept. Well, what stops me from sending it to DOS, and it all kind of, I don't even know what the word is. It escalates from there in terms of like people's understanding of it all.
Yeah.
But this is such a unique thing that you can offer that will never be taken away. You don't feel that in terms of the NFT space and online space that's like a competition or something that can...
No, because I think you just said it. Like it's just a completely different medium. Use it to maybe like aid your like existing medium and the way that you create. But for me, I'm like, if you're good within your craft, and that's the thing, like when you are an artist, a lot of the time people aren't investing in you just for your art. They're investing in you as an artist and as a person. So even if there's, NFTs and technology coming through that may perhaps take away from some of our craft or some people's jobs, I get that that's what's happening. If you've developed like a good relationship with your audience, like that can't be replaced.
Yeah.
So I think for me, I'm not worried because people still want to hold that canvas. They still want that physical canvas to hang up on the wall. And that's why with my NFTs, I did drop a one of ones, but I also gifted the physical as well.
Cool.
So I think if you're good at what you do, just stay in your lane and focus on that, and don't worry about whatever, and just use it to your advantage. Like I said, I used to spend hours and hours and hours reference hunting, and now I can punch in a few things to AI. And the thing is, you still have to have an idea to prompt the AI.
Yeah.
It's not just, you're not just
of course.
You know what I mean? So you still have to have those ideas to then work off. Or to reference hunt or whatever it may be. Yeah.
You briefly touched on then around like there's always going to be somewhat of a community that loves not just what you do, but the actual physical aspect of the art. I'd love you to talk on the people that they might have been friends, somewhat of a community, previous followers, or those that like loved your stuff, but they were friends of yours, and we talked about it off air. But have you seen people that they say you and the circles you're roaming in and what you do, oh, I'm your friend, can I have a discount? Or I'm your friend, can I have a free one? Or like, we're very much big on this, and not that we have people come to us saying, mate, can we have a free this? Like, we don't have anything to offer. But have you seen that a lot?
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's disappointing. I mean, it's not disappointing because I'm not surprised actually. But one thing, I take a positive out of it. I would never do that to other people now. I think it's like people in business, it makes you really aware of how not to be to other business owners and how to approach people in general. So when I'm asking for something for someone, I'm so cautious and unassuming in my approach that they can do that for me. So I think got to take the positives from it. Yes, it happens way too much. And even just with I guess, career accolades. There can be, no one is around. You'll feel this, like when you have your wins, like this will resonate with you guys. You'll be grinding away. No one understands how, you said the 3 years, like you work and work and work and work and work. Nothing may happen. No one will be there. And then you have like one thing and everyone's like,
everyone's your best friend.
Great work. Like, that's amazing. I'm like, where the F have you been for the last 15 years, And they're like, oh, like I'm your friend. Like I went to school with you. And I'm like, holy shit. Like I haven't spoken to you in like 10 years. Good to see you. Like, you well? You good? Yeah. So which is nice, but it's just like, there's the people that are there through all of the times, and then there's the people just pop up at those times. And grateful for all of the support, but it is frustrating when then, they might do something for you and then be like, oh, can you like do this for free? Because like I just, I did this for you back in 1992. So it's okay if you like,
I'll let you in front of me in the line at, the local nightclub. Remember that?
Yeah. So, like I don't mind speaking on this now because I figure if like people weren't ashamed by what they did, they wouldn't do it. So I was like a party the other day and his wife wants a mural and I'd spoken to the wife before, I hadn't met the husband, and we're actually neighbours. We live like close. And I was talking to her and he came up and he's like, hey, can do the mural for $1,000, and like put his house. I hadn't met him before, and like put his hand out. And he's like, and I was like, not shaking your hand. And I know he was joking, but it's just like, that's like one, not a way to introduce yourself. Two, just because I'm your neighbour doesn't mean that, I'm going to do your mural for nothing. Three, you're a multi-millionaire. And
gee, what neighbourhood are you living in?
No, in terms of business.
Yeah,
hey,
okay.
I still live with my parents, okay? So, and then, it was just like, and I was like, you're a real estate agent. I'm like, can you give me a free house or like, not charge me your commission or whatever, and I'll do your mural. Like I was just kidding. And I was like, yeah, but like, I wouldn't say that to you.
How disrespectful.
Yeah. And it's so awkward because and I know you would have found this too, because we both come from sales backgrounds and worked there for years, and that's the thing, like people just seem to want to take because there's some kind of relationship from a while ago, but it hasn't been fostered for a while, but that gives them the right to come in and get tickets for nothing or this for nothing or this experience for nothing. And it's an awkward one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Well, you guys said before, it's like flip the mindset. You like pay for it because you do know them.
Yeah.
Like you should want to pay more because like you do know them.
That's
you
right.
Support other brands of people you don't know. You wouldn't even question it.
But the thing is, like you said, 10 years ago, they're not going to pay thousands of dollars, even though it still would have been worth it, but your name might not be where it is now.
Yeah.
And so why did you not value it then, but suddenly you value it now?
Yeah.
Speaking of, do you estimate the value of your work as time goes on? So in 10 years, I know it's how long is a piece of string kind of question, but in 10 years time, will that double, triple, quadruple? Will it go down? Will it go up? What are the reasons why it could go up or down?
I'd say it's like scarcity comes into it as well. So like the less and less I create, like it drops, the value goes up. So say for example, this one will be worth more because there's only like 200 limited prints and there's no other prints run. But I'd say on average, I think that doubles as like every 10 years, roughly from what you've said, like roughly, if not a bit more.
Yeah, cool.
Thinking of what, like I think I spoke to someone messaged me the other day and they're like, because I said, my original start from 6,000. She's like, I bought my dog portrait for like 600, suck on that, people, like something like that.
Yeah,
and I was just
hilarious.
like mad. Like it was like 8-9 years ago. So that's even like, that's like 100%.
Oh, she bought it from you that long ago.
Yeah. That's like an 100% increase.
Wow.
Like it's wild. Like, so looking at now, like what I charge. So
would you love to see it on eBay or something in the future of people bidding? Like, would that be
imagine
it's
that.
so cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And because like everyone's like, but like, wouldn't you want, because this is obviously NFTs, you've attached royalties to it. So you create game royalties. And I know there's issues with that, but I don't get funny about that. Like if someone sells my work for double, I'm like, mad, you invested in me. You trusted in me in that point. So if you're going to like benefit from it, cool. Like fair
That's
for
awesome.
all, like, So it's interesting.
And all it takes, in all seriousness, someone with a lot of money it just gets passed on to another person, gets sold to another.
Yeah.
Someone might know Michael Jordan and he might sign the thing.
Yeah.
Like you just
or
don't
he might
know.
sue me. Either one. Who knows?
Yeah, true. Why would they sue you?
Absolutely. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Maybe can you touch on that? Like
Yeah, so technically I need permission from him. Dos is like, I've just fucked her up.
yeah, whoa.
Or I've nearly like just going to sue me for breaking
Well,
your
we were hoping
equipment
this
too.
would go viral, this podcast, but let's maybe hope not because it might get across to the States.
I might get in trouble. Hang on,
Oh,
I'm
you've
just
got yourself-
untangling it. I've really done good here.
That's
You
okay.
You've done a
Can't
job.
take me anyway. Wait, oh
Other
no,
way.
wait, we're
Other
going
way.
the wrong
Other
way.
way.
We're
There
going
Don't
the wrong
stress.
way.
This is the power of
Wrong
editing.
way, go back.
Yeah.
All right, we're here.
And we're away.
We're good, and we're away, off and away. So technically, I need permission. That photographer, so Andrew Bernstein, he's amazing. He's taken iconic photos of Kobe. I've chatted to him before and someone who knows him, and he's fine with artists using his work. He just wants credit, which is fine. Other photographers I have contacted have always been the same. They're like, just credit me, that's so fine. So if I can find who the photographer is, I always credit them.
Okay.
A lot of the time, like you should offer to pay rights as well, but they're generally okay with artists. So technically I need written permission that I could paint Jordan from Jordan's team.
That's interesting. And like another thing I was just thinking before in terms of, again, I'm not involved in the art world at all,
Yeah.
but like with every industry there's trends and the trends go up and down. At the
Yeah.
moment, this is very, very trendy.
Yes.
So in terms of art, maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, what are the main changes that you've kind of seen in terms of what people actually like? Let's say wealthy people,
Yeah.
upper class people, or even middle class people. But what do they hang? What's in their houses at the moment? And where's the change been?
Yeah, I think abstract's definitely become more, like minimalist
Yeah.
work has become more of a thing in like those big grand homes. I'd say for the most part for private homes, I'm engaged to do murals more, which has become more of a thing, like more of a trend.
So people can reach out to you and say, I want my lounge room.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And I've painted some pretty cool homes. Yeah. I think for me, I don't know if this is a trend, but I think like grayscale and like sepia kind of works, like timeless works. If people are going to invest, like is something that I've seen if they're like having like a piece for their home. But yeah, I'm not really sure.
Are we at the peak at like what people paying, or has it dipped down at the moment? Like in terms of, I mean, I'm not expecting you to know the history of it all, but do you think roughly in the industry, where are we at in terms of what people will pay for art?
I think Australia is definitely behind, knowing like what fetches in America. When I auctioned a piece for charity, it was of Arnold Schwarzenegger at his house. It sold for, I think, like $14,000 which was about 20 grand. So I think,
Wow.
yeah. So I think, which is fine. And I always say, we all value different things. I don't expect people to value art. It's probably not an investment I'd make right now because, I'd like a house first before I do that. My parents don't want to put up with me until I'm 40. I don't think I'm 30 now, so maybe they do. Who knows? But I think it's okay to not understand the value, but then just don't go invest or don't expect an artist to drop their like worth because you don't understand that. So definitely it's gotten better in Australia, and I think people are starting to understand, but really that comes from us. Like we have to explain that as creatives. We have to take the time to actually, educate people. And that's
You
why
have to become a saleswoman, like really.
Yes,
like
yeah. And try do it without, biting someone's head off.
Yeah.
So I've sent some pretty full-on emails in the last few months just taking the time to educate people and so they don't make the same mistakes again.
Okay.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
the last couple of years I've been investing in sports cards.
Cool.
Actually.
Yeah. See?
So,
Amazing.
and that's different. It's alternative.
Yeah.
I must admit, I've probably spent some money that I'm like, I wish I didn't buy that
Yeah.
one or that one. But in my eyes, like that's something I would like in my house.
Totally.
Or when I have my man cave one day in my house,
Yeah.
I'm going to have that or that big piece of.
Yeah.
So you're right. Like everyone is different.
Everyone values things differently, and that's okay. I think it's just like, and that's the bottom line. Like, I wouldn't come be like, hey, can you sell your sports card for $1? Because I don't see the value. I actually do see the value in it, but I don't expect it for any less.
So many
because,
people are like, it's a bit of cardboard, but it's different. Like they go, that's just
it's
a
a
canvas
collectible.
with a.
It's a collectible. It's a something that you probably can't find in every place, and the same with art.
You're not going to find that in salvos, no.
No,
definitely not.
Hey, I love the salvos.
I do too, but you're not going to find that there.
No, you won't. So I think that's That's generally speaking, art does go up. It is an investment. It's something that a lot of people who are wealthy will buy art and just sit on it and not sell for many, many years and then be like, hey, what's the value of this? And it's gone up, you know, like, look, our banks don't do much for us. So you might as well invest in things that definitely go up in value.
What we've been probably thinking about this for a while, but the highlight of your career, where is it currently stand? Obviously, we always say we're 3 years into our 15-year apprenticeship before we even reach where we want to get to.
Yeah.
But, so in the long run, you're only probably at the beginning part of your career.
That's so true.
But the highlights so far.
Yeah. Oh, I literally still feel like I'm just starting. It's crazy. It's just like, this is like a 12-year kind of mark. And I'm like, I just feel like I'm a startup still. Like really, honestly.
It's kind of scary to imagine. Like,
Yeah.
As a outsider looking at you and what you've done, that's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And we've got a few more years to go. Yeah.
People laugh and they're like, oh no. I'm like, seriously? Like if I showed you more of the ins and outs of business and like figuring out structure and battling cash flow as a business as you grow, you all like I'm taking 10 steps forward, 30 steps backwards. I still feel like a startup. So, and that's just me being honest, because I don't want people to look and be like, oh, like she's killing it doing that. And I'm like, no, we're all battling different battles.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I just want to ask quickly, in terms of, like you just mentioned the word business, right? And typically art and business in that world, and like it's a bit of a divide. And I don't know, have you ever had any kind of old school artists kind of say, look, like this is something like, I don't even know how to frame this question, but almost belittle you for making money out of it or a career out of it? Is there any kind of, do people look at it as, I don't know, like there's
definitely. Yeah, definitely, because of the commercial aspect, and they like say you're pimping yourself out as an artist painting things like that people can like want to buy and my attitude is like, hey, I'm going to have a good crack at it. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure I'm still painting every day. Art teachers are a classic example of that. It's like, you're perhaps not happy at the journey. Like my art teachers hated me.
Right.
Yeah. So, and look,
and that doesn't like surprise me.
Well,
nah.
I hated art class. Like, not the one at school, but I did art class outside of school, and I hated it.
Yeah.
But that was because the teacher, I just didn't. It wasn't a great teacher.
Yeah. Like, whereas if I like,
no offense.
Sorry. Well, I actually went and did a speech at like my high school only to find out that my art teacher had been shredding me to pieces. And it came back to me.
Since your success?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. One of them.
What?
Yeah. So, and then my uni art teacher definitely had a problem with me. She wanted to fail me. They wanted to fail me. Like there was
the health science degree?
Yeah, well, I did arts as well. So the art side of it, I excelled in health science, even though I had no idea what I was doing.
Why did they want to fail you then?
Because
Jealousy?
I had delivered a painting to the Rock, and I was like 3 weeks late back to class, which is fair. I mean, you know, they've got attendance to tick off. So, but at the end of that semester, when I think I can show you my thing, I think I got 50 or 51. So like just passed. Please get degrees. And I went and put a business card on her desk and just like,
how's that for a backhander?
They didn't really know that I was like building, but had I had shown them, they would have been like, what are you doing? Like, it's not, you know, you're not, it's not the art way. So yes, there is a bit of backlash, but like if you don't like it, move on. But I'm also a big advocate for, as long as you're creative, like creating, I don't care what you're doing. Like I say to younger people too, they're like, I don't have a style. I'm like, just keep creating. Just keep like one foot in front of the other. Like don't, you know, think that you have to do this or think that you have to do it that way. There's no blueprint. And anyone who's trying to tell you that this is not the right way. It's like, well, where are you at? Like, are you where you want to be?
That's right.
Because it's like,
So you briefly touched on him. So actually, you didn't answer Dee's question. Your highlight.
Sorry, I went on a big tangent then.
Did you?
Okay, it's all your fault.
Yeah, exactly.
Must be a D thing.
Yeah, Dee's.
Good at that.
Danny's.
Oh, geez, can't take us anywhere. Highlight. Look, I truly think that sitting like, it's nice. Like when people come to the studio, as I said, like it's a day-to-day to me. So I have to like kick myself every now and then. Like I actually have a studio. I think this was my biggest highlight because having a safe space that's yours. I actually bought this studio that you can create in.
Wow.
And I think it's just more, it was like a huge imprint in my journey. And it actually, I forget these things, and I looked back last week on like the photos of me in like the back room and in the middle of the kitchen. And I think it's cool for artists to see, wow, you've got this, but also equally as cool for them to see like that's what you had before for 10 years and you still made it work somehow.
Yeah.
So, this is definitely a highlight. There's also been other accolades, I guess, career accolades, but I don't, like, I'm like, cool that happened, but I sort of equally approach like the highlights and the lowlights as you sort of as one.
I must say though, you've created this space. Like we've walked in and we've felt so welcomed.
Yeah, definitely.
Like it was almost too much at one point. I was like, this is like
snack drawer.
like, you know, it was so nice. Like,
what those veggie chips did sound quite nice.
I think we've got barbecue chicken and original left. I ate all the salt and vinegar, sorry.
But clearly part of you and what you're doing and what you're creating, it's more than just the product. It's you, it's your team and your energy that you put out to the world, I guess.
Yeah. And I think I've learned that especially in the last year, that I used to think, everyone just wants to see work, like they don't. But I'm like, no, actually, people want to see the journey because it's like it's real. I feel like I'm getting a bit more comfortable with just sharing like how fucking hard it is. Like you guys would know, like being in something new, how hard it is. Like you often have a lot harder days than what you do have good days. Yeah. And unfortunately, we do just put out the highlights. So but I think it's important to be able to share that and to be able to like welcome people in, to be able to like feel like have a safe space for them to share as well. And that's what you guys do beautifully as well. So
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, and I've really enjoyed chatting to you about more you than like who you've worked with and but of course people want to know this question. So tell us about some of the people you have met and worked with over the journey. Yeah.
So I think the biggest one that's probably like a standout is the friendship that I've developed with The Rock. He's D2, so really we could be good buddies, you know. Like he's like, hey,
I'm left out. You're Doris. oh yeah, of course.
Close, you do as well, so it's all right.
That's so many Ds.
Yeah.
There is a code coming later, so stay tuned.
Yes, yeah. So I think that was big in that. When you're doing something that you're not sure is going to get you anywhere / you're going to be able to make a living out of, when you're figuring out if you're valued or you provide value, I think having someone like The Rock is pretty cool, you know, stopping in and saying, hey, like keep going, keep doing what you're doing. So meeting him in 2015 was huge. Developed a relationship with him where he'd just pop in every now and then and say, hey, like, how you going? And
what do you call him?
D.
D.
And he calls me D.
Yeah, cool.
That's nice. And nice. So you did a mural of him?
I did a painting and he saw that.
Okay.
And then he was like, looking forward to meeting you one day. And then I did painted something for him as a gift to say thank you. And basically flew that over, met him, kept in contact. And then last year he asked me to do a piece for his premiere for the Black Adam movie.
Yeah.
I presented it to him on the black carpet.
Tell us about that moment before it gets revealed. How are you feeling?
The nerves.
I would love to know that, you know, it's all great hearing about when it gets revealed and everyone's hugging and kissing and cheering. But
I don't even know if I've actually spoken about it in detail. Hey, I get there and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? Quite realistically. Because I'm like, his like main sidekick woman's like looking for me. She's like, where are you? I'm like, I don't know. It's Times Square. So it's like hectic. There's lots going on. Didn't know where the painting was at this point.
Okay.
Jeez.
It was...
How did you get it over there?
I rolled it up and took it in a tube and then I got some random guy to come pick it up to frame it. And so I was just trusting that he was doing that and dropping it off at Times Square at the right time.
Oh my God.
And this is for the premiere?
Yes, for the world premiere.
World premiere.
The world premiere.
In Times Square in New York City?
In Times Square in New York City.
Wow.
Yeah. So here am I like just like trying to walk in these heels, like what am I doing? And I'm like, is the painting here yet? And we're like probably like half an hour out of him arriving. And then she's like, oh, the van's here. And so we go out and there's like just people screaming and like everyone. I'm like, oh my God. Gets the canvas out. And I said to the guy, I'm like, I need an easel because Dwayne had said like, this is how I want it. I'm going to walk over. We're going to have black cloth. We're going to reveal it. And then we'll both say something and like blah, blah, blah. So he had it all planned out. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this, like execute this in a city that I don't know anyone. I've got no one with me. I'm on my own.
Oh.
Like didn't take anyone with me. So
that's scary in itself.
Oh yeah.
Like not even a videographer to capture all this
yeah.
fucking absolute shambles. So I'm like, cool, we're good. The easel comes out. It's like a third of the size of that. The painting was that size. See that frame there? That's actually the frame.
The massive one?
The one, yes, the one behind that girl. The empty one is the one that I actually painted him on. And I took it off that frame.
Wow.
So I think so. Maybe. Yeah. Sounds about right.
We'll go with it.
We'll go with that one. That big. So there's a huge painting on an easel that's plastic and a third of the size of that. And I'm like, where is that going? Because that ain't going to hold my painting up. So I'm looking at, I'm like, we need an easel. Like I'm like, he wants it on an easel. He wants it up. He wants it to be a big thing. Then they have this tiny piece of black cloth. Like I'm talking like
covers the man's
size.
head.
Like cover my left tit. Like literally like, like just going to put that there. Like cool. Like, and you've got this huge dude on a canvas and he wants to cover it. And I'm like, where's that going to go? Yeah. So I just said, I've just befriended randoms and I was like, hey, like, I need some black cloth. I'm like, did you set this thing? He's like, yeah, like we like rolled out this thing. I'm like, okay, cool. Do you have black cloth? Like we need black cloth. And you need like, and I'm like, do you have an easel? And they're like, no, we don't have an easel. And I'm like, you're going to be human easels. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, the rock's going to come over and you're going to have to stand behind the piece and be a human easel. So I've acquired these two random guys. One of them had a booger in his nose. I'm like, just stand there for a second. Pull the booger out for him. Yeah.
Oh.
I shit you not.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, and he's like, thank you so much. And I'm like, no worries.
What after you just plucked a booger and a bit of nose hair?
He came back to me later. I'm like, dude, you have another one. I'm like, how did that get there? And why has no one told you?
It's a sinus infection for sure.
And he's like, these people in Australia, like they're built different. I'm like, this is normal for me, mate. I'm like, this is all good. I'm like, I've got your back.
Wow.
But it's funny because like, we see The Rock get here. I'm like, fuck. And they're like, you're second in line. So he did like a live. He was live streaming on TikTok and on his Instagram. I didn't know that it was live on Instagram. So I was just standing like, cool. Like, what am I doing? I'm like, handed my camera to phone to someone. I'm like, can you just film a bit of this? Like, that would be great. That'd be lovely.
Might be important.
I'm like taking selfies like, woo, like this is so funny. And he like walks over, does his TikTok interview, and then next to me, we were supposed to like rehearse like what we were going to say. We didn't get a chance to. So I'm like, I've got to speak, and I have no fucking idea what I'm going to say. So I just winged it.
Came out all right?
Came out all right. Yeah. Wasn't too bad. I didn't swear, so that was great. And then, but the funniest thing was he came over and he's like, oh, hey guys, and like smacked him on the shoulder. He's like,
the human easels.
The human easels. So he like tapped them both on the back.
They would have loved that.
Yeah, they did. So, and that's how you roll.
Wow.
That gave me anxiety.
Me too.
I had a panic attack during that.
But also, what an amazing story. And even though it didn't go to plan, it is so perfect because it shows anyone that no matter like what caliber you're dealing with, in your case, the biggest mega movie star, well, we're big wrestling fans. So
WWE champion.
WWE champion
like
in our
OG
eyes.
fans.
Yeah, but the biggest name in the world.
Yeah.
And you've had to, what's the word? On the thing.
Improvise.
Improvise.
Yeah.
And it's worked.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. Sort of. Yeah.
But
I think it did. Yeah.
What a story.
But 100% it worked.
Yeah.
But like nothing's going to be perfect.
Do you know what's funny? Because there's a video. I'm like watching them trying to get this canvas out of this mass. I'm like, where are you going to put the rubbish? Like, where's the rubbish going? And I'm watching it and I'm videoing them because I think it's the funniest thing ever. I'm like, this, and in like, I can hear me. I'm like, this just makes me realize that it's okay that I don't have my shit together. Because I was like, you guys are like the biggest Hollywood people and like no one has any idea. And that's why I always say to people, I'm like, nothing is as it seems. Like you think everyone has their shit together, no one does. It's great.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Does he keep that painting?
Yes, it's in his house.
Wow, that's sick.
One of, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I've had a bit of an idea while we've been talking. So Danielle, Dos and I, we're starting to build a bit of a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
We're kind of at the start of it, but we've been collabing with ex-guests.
I don't know where you're going with this. Jesus, no.
We collab with ex-guests
and
we do something in their field, and it's normally DOS first D, and then there's a loser gets punished in some way. So we've done motorbike stunts. We've been in V8s. We're about to do a cricket one. We've done surfing. We're doing all these more sporty ones, but maybe we can tee up a DOS VD on the easel in a painting. Maybe you might give us something to paint. You might give us a few pointers, and there you go, boys. You got 20 minutes, and
Yeah.
you declare a winner, and there's a punishment.
Yeah.
What I will say,
Can I think of the punishment?
you can think of the punishment.
Oh my God, I know. Can I say it?
Yeah, go
Yeah.
for it.
I reckon that we should just like go into a paddock and just get like paint guns and paintballs and just
Love it.
fire away.
Love it.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Great
If
idea.
you know someone who or unless you go and paintball yourself, do you?
No,
is that
I
a hobby?
don't. I never, because I know it hurts.
We'll
So that's why I was
organise
like, that's
that.
good punishment.
but
It drills.
But there's one
Yeah.
thing we won't be able to paint. So Dos stitched me up earlier in the pod, obviously telling my story of year 10. But around that same time, I don't know if you have you remember this.
I know where you're going.
I think he
What?
likes to forget this.
I'm
this,
going
this,
bright red already.
Oh,
There's a little bit of
no.
information, Danielle. So around that time in year 10, Dos went and did a tour of America. Camille would have been there as well.
Family trip of America.
Family trip of America, yeah.
Uh-oh.
And came back, and it was like the first day of classes, and we
Yep.
walk in, and we're in the,
How old?
15, 16, and we go into the to the drama hall, and Dos goes, "Gee, it's a bit weird for an art class," and there's easels around the side, and I said, "Oh, you know what we're doing today?" And he goes, "No idea," and then out comes a robed woman, a mature
That's
woman.
pretty young. That's pretty young.
I know.
She's probably pushing 60.
15 years old we were.
Yeah,
I
she's.
still giggle at that.
Oh,
So like,
well-
Imagine it.
Have you
like-
seen? You said you painted Mr. Bean, didn't you?
yes,
So have
I
you,
look like Mr. Bean.
You reckon?
Yeah.
I never saw
No,
that.
I really
do. We might just explore
Like
that a bit
the-
later.
I do.
Did you see that episode where he goes and he's in like an art class and there's a nude model and he can't?
Yes.
That was him.
That was
he was
you.
bright red. He was sweating. He was giggling. He
She
couldn't
wasn't
look-
naked though. I don't
She
think.
wasn't naked, but
She was in a underwear.
Oh, no,
Underwear.
that's- I wish there were phones back then. Like, could you have phones at school then?
Oh no, we're
No.
a bit old.
I don't think we did.
We might have
No.
been carrying phones. But they weren't
Nokia's
iPhones.
or
No,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, but that was horrible. Like I was dripping in
Do you
sweat.
still, I feel like you're sweating over there.
I
now,
am.
just thinking
I'm
about
like,
it.
I've got a flashback. I'm just like,
Maybe we'll have to get
Oh no.
Yeah, that was horrible. Well, thanks for that, Daniel.
Yeah. Well.
No,
you stitched me
I
up.
still get weird about that stuff. I'm like, well.
Have you
fuck,
ever
that's-
painted a nude
Yeah,
person?
yeah.
Male or
In
female?
male in art class, I think it was. Yeah.
Jeez,
And
poor
female.
bloke. Gee,
Done
hope the
both.
heating was on that day.
Yeah, I know. They
Yeah.
don't care though.
Nah.
They don't care.
They don't care.
Was it shriveled up or?
I think it was a little peanut.
Yeah.
A little
Oh, well.
peanut.
They
Oh,
don't-
good idea.
like we said, they don't care.
Art.
So-
I won't say the family member. I know he won't listen to this,
Definitely
so it's
not.
safe. But I used to, one of our artists in our family did draw a lot of naked women.
Okay.
So I thought it's a great excuse,
Yeah.
being a male artist to, this is all art. It all
That's
comes under the banner of art. And why is that porn on? No, it's art. It's art.
No,
I'm just
it's
getting
art.
an idea. Yeah.
It's like, I'm pretty sure that's a gangbang, but yeah, no, art.
It's art.
Art, yeah.
Yeah.
Mate, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Claim it
dangerous,
on tax,
slippery
it's art.
slope there.
Oh gosh. Well, before this gets too silly, have you got any final questions
Nah,
for
mate,
Danielle?
no. To be honest, I've loved it.
I think he's tapped out now.
Yeah.
He just doesn't want that.
I'm bright red. I've lost. I need a
Can't
drink.
look at the camera.
Well, before we let you go, Danielle, how can we, of course, see your beautiful work? How do we follow you? Where do we follow you? And, of course, for the dos&d loyal listeners, there's a little discount code.
Yeah, we like to do that. So I think predominantly on Instagram, but we're across all socials: TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. What else is there? Twitter, Threads. We got to add that in
so
there.
We got to start.
need to
yeah,
start that.
Yeah, get on there.
Are you on YouTube as well?
YouTube as well. Yep. So Danielle's artwork across all, or Danielle Weber on LinkedIn. And website is www.daniellesartwork.com. And then for any of your listeners, we'd like to give away a little discount code for anything online, and that's 25% off if you enter the code D25.
Are we going to-
DDD25.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Easy to remember.
How good's that?
We'll
Yeah.
have that code come up on the screen.
Yeah.
So
Well,
anything.
thanks for doing that.
That's
so
okay.
lovely.
That
It's
is very
something
lovely.
special.
I
And
think
if there's any of
I'll
these-
use that discount code myself. Actually, I
Yeah.
need some new prints around the house.
Good. Love it. Yeah.
Well, Danielle, thank you so much.
Nah, thank you
One,
for
for
having
having us in your
Yeah,
beautiful
appreciate
space.
it.
Thanks for coming.
And two, for being so open and honest, and just your story is amazing. So
Oh,
we're so
thank you,
grateful for
guys.
you to actually say yes for the opportunity.
Yeah.
But hopefully let this blossom into a great friendship, because we're about to go paintballing by the
I
sounds.
can't wait. I don't know. I feel bad, but like not really.
Yeah,
Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, Danielle.
Love it.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
guys. Thanks, heaps.